What it do? Yo man, listen. Today I want to talk about demons and what a demon's faction might look like if it comes to tacticus. Let's get right into the video. So, out of all the chaos factions there are, why demons? Well, it's quite simple. It's because demons is the last chaos faction who has an index on tabletop that is not in tacticus. There are knights that do have an index, Chaos Knights do have an index, however they're simply too big for the current state of tacticus, size-wise, not like complexity-wise or anything. You might be also saying, the ones of you who play tabletop might be saying, hey Draupnir, Emperor's Children has an index. Well, I will counter that by saying Emperor's Children has an index that is 4 pages, 2 data sheets, so we will probably get Lucius the whatever and Noise Marines, and we will have to wait like over a year for the Emperor's Children Codex to come out and for them to get new units similar to the treatment that World Eaters got. Because if you got Emperor's Children right now, their units will just be Chaos Space Marine units that Emperor's Children piggybacks, and that wouldn't be enjoyable compared to like what we might get in the future. Now, for those of you who don't know, who maybe don't follow, Chaos essentially divides into 4 sections. These are the 4 gods of chaos. Now, Zeech is the blue guys. He's all about trickery and whatnot. He's on the left. He's like, Cthulhu looking thing. Next is Nurgle. He's the grandfather. He's all about plagues and rebirth and whatnot. Next is Khorne. Khorne is all melee combat. He's the red guys. Nurgle is green, by the way. Last is Slaanesh. I can't really talk about what Slaanesh does because I don't want this channel getting demonetized. But it's all about speed, excess, whatnot. Now, there are big centerpiece models in tabletop. These are called greater demons. Each chaos god has a form of greater demon. Zeech has Lords of Change. Nurgle has Great Unclean Ones. Oh my god. Demonetized. Video's demonetized. I've been told Draupnir's been trying to re-record this video because he keeps forgetting what a Bloodthirster is. He's just falling off. Bloodthirster is for Khorne, and Keeper of Secrets is for Slaanesh. These are greater demons, these are big centerpiece models. However, unfortunately, they are simply too big to come to tacticus. Stuff like, what are they called? Stuff like a Redemptor Dreadnought, stuff like a Screamer Killer, they are machines of war, they are guild raid bosses. These things are bigger than them, so there is no way we will get them as playable characters. Now, another thing. There's a lot of people who are thinking we will get maybe 4 factions when it comes to demons, a Zeech faction, a Nurgle faction, a Khorne faction, a Slaanesh faction. I don't agree with this because the way Tacticus has been going, at least the way currently, is they just go off whatever faction has an index. Like we haven't had a non-index compliant faction in the game. Now, what does that mean? For example, Death Watch doesn't have a codex now. They have Agents of the Imperium. So I think if you're gonna get a Death Watch, maybe that's a bad example. Anyways, like we're not gonna get like a Legion faction. We're not gonna get like Red Corsairs or Wordbearers or Night Lords for a little bit until they get some love on the tabletop. The reason we haven't got them is because they're not the main factions. The Chaos factions we have in the form of World Eaters, Thousand Sons, and Death Guard, they're the factions who actually have codexes. They had codexes last edition. This edition, they have indexes. Anyways, so my point is, you're probably gonna get 1 demon from all of the gods. And luckily, there are enough demons that are cool enough from all the respective gods. Now, what do I mean by this? So when we were getting World Eaters, I knew we were gonna get Khorne. When Thousand Sons were announced, I knew we were going to get Ahriman. Typhus was already out when I started, so I couldn't predict that. But the point is, these are the heralds of their gods. These are the big guys. These are characters that define their factions. They're very iconic. Everybody knows them. Everybody loves them. So demons, they don't really have the same level of heraldry when it comes to their demons. However, they have enough iconic demons characters that I think I can make a pinpoint prediction as what we might see. Now, as you know, these are all predictions. I might be wrong. I was, for example, wrong about the Tyrannus faction. I was right about the Neurotrope Winged Prime summoning a Tyrannid Warrior. I was right about Death Leaper, but I was, I had no idea we're gonna get a Tyrant's Guard. So take this with a grain of salt. Now, the first one, the first god, I'm gonna go from the order of that picture, is Zeech, and his named epic hero demon character, that's small, right? Because I can't get the big characters, is the Changeling. Now, the Changeling is a shape-shifting demon of Zeech that deceives and manipulates by taking form of others. So he's like a shapeshifter. There are some pieces of lore where he like tricks the other gods, and like he's a really mischievous guy. Now, in 9th edition, his changing forms was used to make it so he would steal the melee characteristic of units he was engaged with. Now, I understand for those of you who don't play tabletop, this doesn't make much sense, I'm just yapping. However, what this was is essentially he copied their weapons. In 10th edition, he doesn't really have a copy ability, he is just an absolute menace to deal with. Not because he's like super scary or he's super durable, it's just you have to jump through a lot of hoops to actually kill him. Now, his name is the Changeling. If he came to Tacticus, I think it would be really cool if there was a mechanic where every turn he could transform into another character that you have on the board. And, in guild raids, for example, there are 6 turns. You have 5 characters total and 4 others who are not the Changeling, and it might be interesting where you sub in the Changeling, where for 1 turn he's your secondary Eldarion, for another turn he's your Neurotrope, or like this opens a lot of doors, a lot of creativity, a lot of unique interactions that were not possible. I just think it's, it will be interesting. The next character is from Slaanesh. This is the Mask of Slaanesh. Now, she does a little dances. I don't want to get demonetized. I already did 1 curse word, so I'm not going to push my luck too much. In 9th edition, the Mask was a really good melee threat. There's a lot of tricks in the fight phase. In 10th edition, there are significantly less tricks. However, there's a buffer and a nerfing to the enemy, where the enemy takes more damage and they deal less damage. I think in Tacticus, it will be a crazy fast melee beatstick, because this Epidemius character has like 10 movement, which is like jump pack levels of movement. Not quite 12 inches, but 10 is pretty good. So, a melee beatstick character that is buffs people around them and debuffs enemies, just Ragnar team would love it, just saying. The third guy, Epidemius. Now, I'm a little iffy about this, because Epidemius is arguably not as iconic as the previous 2. Nurgle fans, please don't kill me. I'm sorry. So essentially, what he does, he holds tallies for Grandfather. Grandfather is Nurgle, of course. And the tallies are a big deal. So in Death Guard, there's a tally man. So he does like just check CP, command point manipulation and whatnot. Well, he used to at least. And this guy does the same thing. Now, previous 2 characters, I did cover their 9th edition and 10th edition rules. I actually want to cover the 8th edition rule of this guy, because unfortunately the 9th edition and 10th edition rules simply do not translate to Tacticus. It just makes no sense. These are just exclusive to tabletop rules. However, in 8th edition, he was actually used alongside the Death Guard in a summon list, which was really techy, really zany. However, there was a thing where you had the machines of Death Guard, which were machine spirits, or demon engines. That was what it was called. Time passes so fast, I'm getting old. And whenever a demon engine got a kill, Epidemius put a tally, and each tally, it had its own little table. The more tallies you got, the more powerful demon engines got. So it was, it was a buffer, kinda. Now, not gonna lie, I just don't know how he will translate the Tacticus. I was looking at all the things, and whenever I see a character, I'm like, okay, this is how it's gonna translate. With this guy, I have no idea. Maybe he will be like some global buffer if you, did something, you got, I don't know, it's like a checklist maybe, who knows. Now, the last guy is, I can never say this, Karanak. Now, this is essentially Cerberus, okay? There is another guy He is the Skull Claimer or Skull Taker, where he's just a bloodthirster or bloodletter rather. I apologize about that. He's a bloodletter with a sword, a shield, and his cape is made out of skulls. Now he's pretty cool. However, he just hits fast. He doesn't really do anything. I think this guy will be cooler because how cool would it be to have a demon dog that has 3 heads and he like shouts at enemies and does damage to them in tactics. Personally, I would love that instead of like just another humanoid thing with a sword and shield. Now, he's essentially the attack dog of Khorne. When something is marked, he just goes after them. In 9th edition, his rule was all about hunting down. It's like you select a character, you go at him, and whenever you successfully do a wound roll, they take immortal wounds, which made it so like if you're going after a character, they were probably gonna die. In 10th edition, his rule is more about giving buffs to allies for a selected target, like you select a target. The top guy, the head at the top, he shouts, so it's from there where like he wails at them. And he does have a shout attack, which is pretty cool. Personally, I think it will be quite entertaining to have a unit that is similar to Asmodai in the sense that he buffs his teammates, but he also has a self buff. Also, I am all for non-humanoid characters. We have so many humanoid characters, and I get that. I get the fact that every faction is very heavily humanoid, but it's, characters such as Alef Null, Neurotrope, and Draupnir is opening the phone very slowly. Just nobody's noticing. No, you know what? Maybe Tutmos, but he just doesn't have legs. Like there aren't enough non-humanoid characters in Tacticus. I just wish there were. The ones who have been paying attention, you might be thinking to yourself, hey Draupnir, it's simple math. A faction needs 5 characters. There are 4 gods. You've given us 4 characters. What's it gonna be? Well, you're right. In Warhammer 40,000, Chaos Demon Princes, they cannot be undivided, unfortunately. In Age of Sigmar, they can. In 40k, unfortunately, they can't. And the unfortunate reality of the situation is, there is no Chaos Undivided Demon Prince. The reason I am pushing so much for Chaos Undivided is because I think it wouldn't be appropriate, it wouldn't make sense for one god to have 2 characters and for other gods to have none. So that leaves us with one option. A statement I made was incorrect. There is actually one Chaos Undivided Demon Prince. Who is it? Do you know who it is? Put your comment. Yeah, I'm doing it out. It's been 60 videos. The first time I'm telling you to drop a comment. Let's go. Oh my, sorry. It's Bellor. It's Bellor. He's the Chaos Undivided Demon Prince. There is another Chaos Undivided Demon in the form of Vashtor. He is the one who supplies all the Chaos Gods with their demon engines. However, by classification, Vashtor is a Chaos Space Marines unit, so they will be in the Chaos Demons faction, despite being a demon of chaos. Now, people who play tabletop, they are definitely saying, hey Draupnir, Bellor is far too big. He's essentially the same size as guild raid bosses. He actually dwarfs some guild raid bosses, funnily enough. Now, I agree with you. He is simply too big. However, what the Avatar of Khaine has shown us is that Snowprint are willing to nudge the sizes just enough. Because, I'll pull your attention, the Avatar of Khaine has a smaller base size on the tabletop than the Redemptor Dreadnought and the Screamer Killer from Tyrannus faction. However, in Tacticus, his base size almost triples that of the Redemptor Dreadnought and the Screamer Killer. So, there is a little bit of flexibility. I think if we are to get a demon faction that has 4, that is just one full faction instead of 4 different factions, I think it will make sense to have one demon from each faction and then, or each god, and then have Bellor as the undivided guy to make sense. And Bellor would absolutely be a powerhouse. This guy is a beast. This guy like has disciples of Bellor as his army of renown. Like he's just a crazy guy, and it would be awesome to have on Tacticus. Anyways, I yapped too much. That's the end of the video. Thank you very much for watching. Special thanks to Dieselfox, Papa John, Little Llama, Sarp, Hardswept, Ascarion, Yeris, Busmek Soup, Proson, Internet Pella, Uzalta4, Cinnamon Prophet, Ainahi, Karn, Mera, Player 8387, Ivikit, Sang the Memoriam, Coder94, Hentesto Canny, Campino, Carl, Slim Pickings, Ravenor, Player 1150, and Erdrick for entering my referral code. It genuinely means a lot to me. It's in the middle of the screen. If you want to enter it, you will get 100 Blackstone shards. It's a great way to support the channel, and I truly appreciate it. So once again, thank you very much for watching. Have a good day, and stay safe.